Well, we want to say hello to you, yes, and especially you, and welcome to another Tom Ford Friday, right here live on YouTube as well as on Facebook, and we're streaming to none other than Clubhouse. This show is brought to you by none other than Renee Noor and the GW3 Club on Clubhouse, and we want to get a disclaimer out right now. The opinions of our guest are not the opinions, or do they reflect the opinions of Renee Noor or the GW3 Club? It is, and they are the opinions of our guests and our guests only. Right now, I'm the only one here on the live. We do have Bobby with us in our clubhouse audience, and we're expecting some other gentlemen to join us. And so, right now, you'll be talking with Pastor Jeff and with Bobby. And when the other gentlemen join, they will join as well. But we're going to get started right on with, if you know the format, we ask two questions that the ladies would like to know, and then we ask some questions that men need to have. Now, this is a barbershop conversation on Clubhouse. And so the ladies are in the room, but they are butterflies and ladybugs on the wall. And so they aren't allowed to say anything during this hour segment. This is all about the men. And so with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. And the first question, and it looks like Bobby's on the phone, so Pastor Jeff may have to ask the question, and then answer the question too. So the first question is: Does ego? We're talking about men's ego here. Does ego get in the way of emotional intelligence? That's the first question, and we want those who are joining us on the live on Facebook and on YouTube. Go ahead and you can put your answers in the comments, as well as if you have some questions you would like for Pastor Jeff to ask, go ahead and put those in the comments as well. I'm not saying we're going to ask those on today, but I will put them in my database of questions to be asked. So, again, the first question is: it relates to men. Does ego does ego get in the way of emotional intelligence? And it looks like um, Bobby is still on the phone, and we're going to bring Jay up in the. Actually, I can't bring anybody up because I haven't been moderated yet. Can somebody please moderate Pastor Jeff on the clubhouse? Thank you so very much. Now, Pastor Jeff can operate the way he's supposed to operate. We're going to invite Jay up, see if Jay'd like to join the conversation. Absolutely. While we're waiting for Bobby to get off the phone. Welcome, Jay. Welcome, Bobby. How are you doing on today?
Marvelous, marvelous. How's everyone?
I'm super fantastic, Jay. Bobby, how you doing today? All right, Bobby may not be able to join us yet. So, Jay, the first question we have is: does ego get in the way of emotional intelligence for men? What do you think about it?
Wow, I think that's a very, very great question subject. um Off top of I would say Um of course ego gets in the way of emotional intelligence. Um being that I think it's more traditional and I think it's more traditional and programmed to for men to think modern day men, majority, the mass of men, to think masculine, um, and not being in tune with your feminine energy or whatever it's to say. It's
Mhm.
almost like a war now. It's physical, so of course ego plays a major role.
So, how do you think it affects the relationship between men and women?
Uh, Towards like ownership, I think sexually, physically, always. I think it it greatly affects the relationship. Because, but not for everyone, but I think the majority, it affects it.
Okay.
I
We
don't know.
appreciate that, Jay. We're going to come back because I have a follow-up question to that before we go to the second question that the ladies would like to know. Bobby, are you able to join us? Bobby's on the phone again, so I don't know if Bobby's going to be joining us all today. But Jay, so the follow-up question is, what do you think, or do you suggest that men do to move in lesser ego and more emotional intelligence?
I think like depending on your wife or your partner or whatever, it always like communication and understanding. Once you have a drive to like, okay, I'm finna work. Maybe I am too um masculine, not just too masculine or whatever, but my ego gets in the way of everything, and my wife or my partner telling me this, and like when you're in it, you can't really hear it, and so on. But working to get better, like I think it's like personal, working to get better in life, and then understanding to make things work. So to answer your question, um, it's several ways to you know to help that. If
Okay.
that answers your question,
It
kind of
did,
new to
and
this.
we'll come back and visit it again. Thank you so very much for your vulnerability and for your openness. Bobby, are you ready to join us? Bobby came off mic and he's back on the phone. So Jay, looks like you and I are gonna have a conversation for right now. And Bobby, you can
Okay,
join
what
us.
what what are your thoughts on it, Mr. Jeff?
Well, what my thoughts are is that I agree with you in the communication aspect of it, and that is because oftentimes we men really don't even recognize the fact that we're in our ego. We just call it being ourselves. We call it being a man. We call it being masculine. And so that communication piece is going to be very important. It's going to be paramount because that ego is going to be agitating the our spouse or the person that we're in a relationship with, and we need to be able to hear from them to let us know when we're operating in ego and to help us to operate more in emotional intelligence, help us to be able to get into or in tune to, as you said it, that feminine energy, so that we can have harmony in our relationships. Pastor Jeff, for those who have been here for a while, Pastor Jeff does not subscribe to the idea of balance. As a matter of fact, if you were to take a scale and balance the scale, it does not move up or it does not move down. So it becomes stagnant. But harmony, when we have harmony, that means that the percentage shifts as it needs to shift so that it's maximized for every person involved, whether that's a husband and a wife, a husband and the female that he's in a relationship with, whether it's mother, father, and children, whether it's with a employee and yourself. Harmony is what we need in life. And so I believe, Jay, that when we communicate effectively, because we communicate whether we say anything or not, so when we communicate effectively, then our spouse or the person that we're in a relationship with can give us that feedback that we can't see from ourselves. And therefore, they can help us to shift out of ego and to be able to operate more in emotional intelligence. What do you think about that, Jay?
I think you summed it up. We should be asking the ladies, what do they think?
Well, Jay, the
Also.
format of the show is it's a barbershop conversation. It's just the men
Okay,
talking and the
okay, okay,
ladies.
okay. No
Yeah, the
problem.
ladies, they listen. They're butterflies on the wall as though we're not here. This is for the men. I mean, think about it, Jay. How often you get to have an hour around women and they not asking you questions or butting in? You there, Jay?
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, then that goes to another subject of like the the work, like workforce or in the office and different things outside of relationships. I think egos have a, it play a role in that too.
So what can we do about it?
Men, I suggest, I have a theory that men have no one to talk to, like other
Mm,
men,
mhm.
like other men, not men's, but other men don't have like, okay, you might have a homeboy or a brother or this, that, and the third, but like we don't open up to each other. We don't have like groups to where we can express our emotions and work to get better. I think that I feel like that's needed in the communities and in the manhood.
Absolutely, and there are some groups, and you bring up a very good point. You need to have some accountability partners. Have some men that can hold each other accountable. Have some men that can serve as mentors, older men that can serve as mentors for younger men, and a place where we can do what we're doing today, and we do every Friday, just about every Friday, is that to have these type of conversations so that we recognize the fact that the things that we are thinking. We're not an island. There are other men that are thinking the same things we are. There are other men who are going through the same issues in life that we go through. And there's some who've already navigated and they can help us not to make some of the same mistakes that they have made. Let's check in with Bobby again. Bobby, are you able to join the conversation yet?
Hello, Pastor Jeff. I'm here. I was in the middle of my lunch, but everything's good. I'm ready to go. I'm here for the barbershop time for Friday with men. Do we have it all together, or is it ego? Me personally, I feel like I don't have it all together. Why? Because I'm a flower. I'm still growing. I'm growing from yesterday. I'm becoming a better person today. I'm going to be a better person next week. So it's like, no, I don't have it all together, but I want to have it all together, and it's up to me to get it all together.
All right, all right. And what do you think we men can do to move from the space of ego to a space of emotional intelligence?
Well, you have to. Me personally, I had to just take myself from me. I had to understand that I'm me, who is he, who will always be him, and that Christ is in my heart, and I'm a really good person, and I see the best in people, and I had to put peace in myself to understand that there's peace in the world. So that's just how I did it from my experience.
All right, I appreciate that. I appreciate your vulnerability and your perspective. That's another thing here is that we we like that we have different perspectives and that we can agree to disagree, although we haven't disagreed anything yet, but we're able to come in and we don't have to deal with what we call group think. Because group think keeps you stagnant when you can hear other people's opinions and when we can agree to disagree and go back and process it, then we're able to grow. So I'm going to go move to our second question for the ladies, the second question from the ladies, and that is, what do men want from women? That's a broad question, gentlemen, and we're going to give opportunity to answer it. What do you believe? So we have to put it that way. What do you believe women want from men? We'll go ahead to Jay. Going to you first. What do you think women want from men, Jay?
Wow, that's a very, very great, amazing question. um, if I knew that, I think if I knew that answer, I think it would be easier for me to grow into who, but I like the song say, I guess understanding or, the same thing we want. Like I think a woman wants the same thing we want on different levels, like whatever you bring, I think we create relationships like men and women often, but men like we create relationships. So we are creators, so we create relationships.
Mhm.
And they want that to keep going. It's a broad question, so I just say understanding and leave it at that, and we'll go off of that.
All right. And one of the things I want to encourage both you and Bobby is that, the way the question is asked, there's no wrong answers. How with that though, I think with the ladies listening, I mean, you ask 10 ladies what they want and you probably get 10 different answers. So I think hearing what we men believe that they want, and then they can share with us what they want, and we can take those two together and mesh them, and maybe we can get some better relationships. So Bobby, what do you think women want from men?
In my opinion, Pastor Jeff, just because I had a lot of big brothers before me,
Mhm.
one of my big brothers, he told me, men think, women feel. So I told him,
Okay.
tell me what's on your mind. I know it's real. So with that being said, I just think a woman just wants somebody for her. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's willing to be monogamous. If I said that word correctly, somebody just to, be there for her, uplift her, encourage her, go get the bag. Really, you feel me? Like build something with her because my mama, she always been single.
Mhm.
And she ain't ever brought no men around just to be around. So it's like, what can you contribute? What value can you bring to this relationship, which is really acquaintance?
All right, Bobby, I heard you say that men think and women feel. I've heard that before. And if we understand that, perhaps we could get some better relationships, and men could start working more on their feelings, and ladies could work a little more on their thinking. And maybe we can meet somewhere where we have that harmony. What do you think about that, Bobby?
I love that, Pastor Jeff. I love that idea.
All right, all right. Now, what Pastor Jeff believes that women want, because I'm going to answer the question as well, and I have a little bit of experience. And, one, I think a lady wants someone that she can trust. She wants someone that she can find security in. She wants a man who is going to be dependable, honest, and I'm going to say this because from the surveys that Pastor Jeff has conducted to this point, and with the work I do with relationships and premarital, marital maintenance, and post marriage counseling, one of the number one concerns for women is, and that are in relationships, is fidelity. They want a man that is going to be faithful. So I believe those are the things that a woman, or some of the things that women are looking for, that may be more general, but then every woman is different, and every woman is going to have a different list. But if we subscribe to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there are some fundamental needs that every woman wants, and there's some fundamental needs that every man wants. We've discussed that before here on the Tom Ford Fridays. And basically, women, the number one thing women are looking for, from the surveys, from a general perspective, is security. And the number one thing men are looking for in a relationship is respect. We've talked about it. Men's definition of respect is different than a woman's definition of respect. And so there we go back to what Jay suggested, is we've got to have some communication, because the man's definition of respect has got to be understood by the woman if she's going to respect him. And it may not be the same. And since we are different ages from different generations, what one man's definition of respect is, this may not be what the next man's definition is. So again, this idea of communication, we just can't get away from it. You got to speak up. It is that number one best-selling book of all times. That's right, it's the number one bestseller. I don't think any book will ever outsell it. The ancient Texas, my friend Dr. James Foster would say, and in the church circles, they call it the Bible. And when we look at it, there's a passage of scripture there that would suggest that we have not because we ask not. And with that, gentlemen, Jay, do you want to add anything else to that conversation with of what we believe that women want from men?
Uh, well, yeah, I would say I would like to add like a woman. It depends, like you said, different levels of women and men. So like sometimes a woman want things, like she might want things that she's not ready for. Like I think, like you know, in today's society, it's a lot of females, including men. And I'm not, I'm kind of biased, so I love women. So, but
I do
it's a
too.
lot of
I do
women.
too, Jay.
Okay, I'm gonna say that first though. Um, just say like hip hop, the culture, and different things like that has like a subconscious effect on what women think they want. You know, it's a it's a saying where they say it's right to know, but when you think you know that you really don't know that you don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So subconsciously, sometimes that can be like miscommunication too. And we're trying to provide that it may be materialistic, it may be different aspects of what they feel like they want, and goes back to what he said, like you men think and women feel. They might feel like they want this and not realize subconsciously it can't be produced, because it's materialistic. It's not really there, and we'll try to our best to provide even that because we know they want things like that. So, um, it's so many the aspects of a lot of people call it the game or whatever. There's so many different aspects to that. So it goes back to communication, like you say.
Right, Jay, you make a very good point, and we might have to bring that up in another show as you talked about the hip hop culture and the music that we are listening to, particularly as to uh, women listening and how that influences what they want. Actually, Pastor Jeff had not. Well, actually, I used to listen to a young man that talked about hip hop culture and how that affects our subconscious brains. And so I think we may have to bring that up in another show. I'll just say to that fact is that music is the only medium known to man or woman that bypasses our will. It's the only medium that does not ask permission to teach us something or to put something in our memory bank. And I'm going to leave it there because we have two new gentlemen who have joined us for today. We've got Brother Terrence, and they're not new. They're usually here with us as well. So we're glad to have Terrence with us. We're glad to have Steve. And I'm going to go to Steve first. Steve, our question is, what do you believe women want from a man? And then we're going to go ask Terrence the same question, and then we're going to get to our men's questions. This is the second of the questions that the women want to know. So, Steve, how you doing today, first of all?
I am doing all right, Pastor Jeff. I was waiting in backstage in the studio for you, but it's fine. I'm doing a little bit okay. Just like the cough is there, which is, ongoing, but somehow fine.
All right. Well, thank you for your patience. Our engineer may not be at the controls, and Pastor Jeff isn't controlling. I'm not producing the show, so I'm not controlling it. So I apologize that you weren't able to get in on the live studio, but I'm glad you joined us here on the Clubhouse, and they're able to hear you on the live. And so the question is for you, Steve, and I'm glad you're feeling better, is what do you believe women want from men?
Women's desire for a man, what they want from a man. Definitely a man who is honorable, fair, and ethical in terms of relationship. Having not only that, and that he tells the truth, but integrity. But that helps and that strengthens the bond a man has with a woman. And his moral principles will guide his behavior and help him to be the best partner. And that's what every woman is looking for that. The woman, they need the kindness, patience, understanding, definitely compassion, empathy. So, regardless of the type of relationship, men and women should be considerate of each other's feelings. So that's when a man understands feeling of a woman. It's not only about that what she is doing, how she is progressing, what she wants to do. So every woman wants to feel loved. They want to feel safe. So when there is love in a relationship and there is no cheating, there is no pain, there are no games, and the more love it is, the more strong the relationship it is. And they want to feel safe. So whether it's financially, whether it's emotionally, whether it's mentally, physically, any sort of safety, if a man can provide, then this women are happy with that. And definitely to be allowed to be the nurturing. When a man lets a woman to be nurturing and they provide all the things what they are looking for. So definitely that's what a woman always desire, those things from a man to feel sexually desired, appreciated, loved, respected, all these things. Yeah. Thank you.
Steve, you hit the list right there. You hit it, and I think the only thing that I would add to that is that women want to feel beautiful. I didn't put that into the first list. I think they want to feel beautiful. I agree with you. They want to be loved. They want to feel sexy. They want to feel needed and wanted. All of those things that you said. They want a man that's honest. We've talked about those things just before you came in. And I'm gonna pause for a moment again. You on Clubhouse. You are in the Tom Ford Fridays, and today we're talking about, do we have it all together or is it ego? We normally ask two questions that the ladies would like to know from Pastor Jeff's database, and then we talk about some things that men need to talk about. I want to ask one of the Global Women Wealth Warriors, one of the GW3 moderators, if they would go ahead and put the link to the Facebook, and that is Global Women Wealth Warriors. If you're listening and you want to join us live, that's the Global Women Wealth Warriors on Facebook. And you'll get to see Pastor Jeff. Unfortunately, because we aren't able to get our other men into the studio today. So we're just talking with them from the clubhouse, and hopefully we'll get that straightened out on next week. There it is. Thank you. Thank you for putting that link up. Again, this is Tom Ford Fridays, where the ladies are butterflies and ladybugs on the wall. The men have a barbershop conversation, and we are not interrupted or asked any questions. We're not attacked for an entire hour. Now, what happens after that hour? We don't know, but for the entire hour, the men get to enjoy just being able to have a conversation without having to think about the stress of answering why we think the way we think or why we said what we said. And so, with that, we're going to go to Brother Terrence. Brother Terrence, how are you today?
Doing great, doing great. How's everybody doing?
We're doing wonderful, and I appreciate you again for your support, like Steve, for being here. And the question right now, before we go to the men concerns, is from your perspective, what do you think women want from men?
Well, a number of things, but generally what I've been hearing and been seeing is that women just really want honesty. They want somebody who's going to be loyal to them, somebody who's going to treat them fairly, somebody who's not going to take advantage of them. They want to feel safe, they want to feel loved, they want to feel protected. And sometimes that's overshadowed by material things with some women, not all women. And it's like at the end of the day they just want honesty. That's what I feel from the conversations that I've been having, the conversations that I've been seeing, and the conversations that I've been a part of. It's like honesty. They just want somebody to be real with them. They don't want to be made a fool of. They don't want to put all their heart and investments and everything into a man who's not doing the same thing, who leaves them, looking foolish because they've put all the eggs in one basket and they've tried different things, and they've they've put all their trust in this person who has other ideas and other motives. They're out here womanizing, having three and four and five different women when, you know, honesty is very important. And if you want to, be out there dating and stuff, be honest. That's I think that's what women are looking for, because there are some women who don't mind being one of a number, but it's just the honesty. If you want to be out there dating multiple people, you can find somebody who's willing to participate with that, but don't take advantage. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? But don't take advantage of somebody who's not.
Absolutely. Brother Terrence, you know the thing that I realized after listening to every one of you kings is, and if there were women listening, if there were women paying attention, if women happen to watch the replays, you know, I hope they hear that the gentlemen in this room, the kings in this room, have a very good idea of what women want. And because I continue to hear honesty, I continue to hear faithfulness, and those things that we hear over and over again. And so, for that woman who says that all men are dogs, I hope you hear this broadcast. For those women who say all men are no good, I hope they're listening to this broadcast, because uh, we have heard from several men who have a different perspective and will put that fallacy to rest, because all men are absolutely not dogs. And there are plenty of good men, perhaps if there were any women listening. I'm just saying, gentlemen, as we have this barbershop conversation where women aren't allowed, I'm just saying, if there were any women that were listening to this, I would hope that they would take note that there are some good men, and maybe you just need to put yourself in the vicinity of where those men are. Maybe you need to change the circles you hang out in. Look, I'm going to stop right there, because we know this is a men's conversation. But I was just saying that, gentlemen, just in case there were some women that were listening in on what we're saying. But gentlemen, let me tell you something that happened today. Today, Pastor Jeff had to go get a tire put on his car, because the last week I hit a curb and it blew my tire out, and I was riding around on the donut. Now it's a big donut, so it's fine to ride around in the city in, as I waited for the new tire to come in. So I went today before coming here to the studio to have that tire put on the rim and have it put back on the car. And I was appalled at what happened there at the tire place. A young lady comes in, I see a tow truck when I pull up, and there's a car with two flat tires on the driver's side. And Pastor Jeff, I'm not an introvert, I'm not an extrovert, I'm a selectivert. And I selected to ask the lady what had happened. And when she told me, it took me aback, gentlemen. And that was her husband. That's right, you heard me. Her husband slashed her tires. She needed to go to work. She has children. By her words, he slashed them because she asked for a divorce. And I'm like, where do men do that at? So, gentlemen, I want to know your opinion. Where do men slash their wife's tires even if the wife asks for a divorce? What kind of man does that? Go ahead. Bobby, tell me. I see you. Bobby, what kind of man slashes his wife's tires knowing that she has to go to work, knowing that she has children, even though she asked for a divorce?
In
Unmike,
my
Bobby, tell us. What kind
in
of man
my
does it? Pastor Jeff wants to know, because I don't understand it.
okay, in my opinion, which is a fact, that's a coward. Why that's a coward is because she, that's an emotional move. That's truly an emotional move. Why? Because why couldn't you talk it out? Why couldn't you just keep it moving? Why couldn't you figure out another? You know what I'm saying? Like I can't really explain it, but that's a coward move.
Bobby, I agree with you. And that's why it bothered me, because men just don't do stuff. I mean, we're talking today about men's ego versus emotional intelligence. And you hit it. There was a man who was in his feelings. So, hey, thank you, Bobby. Let's go and hear. Jay, what do you think about it, Jay?
I think Bobby summed it up. To add to what he's saying about emotional move, um, it goes back to the subconscious. Like, uh, we men, like it was a coward move. That's not manly. And that's the feminine energy. Sometimes you can be too in tune with feminine energy, and that's emotions, right?
Mhm.
So emotions, we would call that, man, you acting like a punk, or B, or that's a HOE move. Just those are kind of like feminine. That's why we call men that, and it brought out the feminine side of him.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a coward move, man. It's just emotions. You got to be in. That's another thing to add to relationship. Control your emotion, accountability, man. You could have easily talked it out, man.
I like that, Jay, to control the emotions because we all have emotions. Let's be real about it. We men can have emotions. We can get in our feelings, but at the end of the day, as a man, we need to be able to control those emotions when they need to be controlled. We need to know when to cry, and we need to know when to just man up. And this was one of those situations to where that was so selfish. The lady has to go to work. The lady has children. And talk it out, leave the house, come up with something else, but don't put her in jeopardy. Don't mess up the money that she's bringing in. Don't mess up it. I mean, what if one of the children had got deathly sick? How were they supposed to get to the hospital? Look, Pastor Jeff, it just upset me. Let me go to Steve. Steve, what do you think about this man?
Definitely, Pastor Jeff, that is not a good move because when it comes to man's ego, it's that they don't want to lose. So, what happens there? Do I meet a traditional definition of masculinity? Do I attract women? Am I wealthy enough? Am I strong enough? So, these things, when it hits the rock bottom, till the time men don't care, you see, I don't care. But when it hits that rock bottom and it's really hard to, you know, hear those words, like when somebody rejects you, even you've been married or you're going into a relationship, they try every way to, stop them. Or if a man is a narcissist, he'll try to attack the way this man did. What I understand, like talking to many couples and people and seeing their relationships, and when they break up, when they're at the point of the verge of this point, when a woman wants to move on and he's done with it, or she finds somebody else who is more lovable than this man, who's not caring, who's not taking care and being soured and doing all this stuff. That man can do this. He doesn't have his self-respect, not at all. If a man will do this in the market, in anywhere else where in its public place, that man doesn't have respect for anybody. And it could be two reasons. I will not only go, one way. Maybe he's taking revenge. Second thing, either he is too young. That means in teenage, where he doesn't understand what he's doing. If he is adult already, does have kids and been married for a while, and this woman wants to move on, wants to live her life, and he is narcissistic, he doesn't want her to do that, or either it could be, I'm not, blaming only blaming to the person, but it could be maybe that man loves her so much that he doesn't want her to go, and he wants her to stop. So I have not seen this thing. I have not spoke to those people, so I cannot blame one party. Listening to both people will give us a clear picture, but doing this is a cavernous. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Steve, you're absolutely right. Pastor Jeff was going to say, Pastor Jeff only heard one perspective. I heard one view, and there's always three views. There's his view, her view, and God's view, or the right view. And so I didn't get to hear all of that. What I did see and what I was able to observe is that, yep, there was two tires that were slashed. And the young lady did say, when Pastor Jeff inquired, because, I was thinking maybe it was a boyfriend that she had let go and that was his retaliation. And I was just a take aback when she said, no, it was her husband because she had asked him for a divorce. Now, when a spouse asks you for a divorce, marriage requires two people. So there's always two sides of the story. And it didn't just happen today. All right. So wherever you are at, it took time to get there. And it takes time. If you're going to repair it and fix it, it's going to take some time and some work. It took work to get to the point. In most cases, let me just say that in most cases, it takes some work to get to the point the way you want a divorce, whether it's the woman who wants it or whether it's the husband that wants it. And so it takes some time to get out of that and to repair that. And we all can get in our emotions. I'm gonna tell you, I've been married for 30 years. Been with my wife for 32 years. And there have been several times Pastor Jeff thought about, you know what, I'm done. I'm through. I'm going to get a divorce. All right. But you work those things out. All right. And if you ever get to the point to where you're actually going to have one, you want to be able to do that admirably without retaliation. So let me move on. Let's go over to Terrence. What do you think about this?
Man, first of all, we can see why she's asking for a divorce. And why is that his first reaction? That was very weak, very cowardice. How I can't. The only thing that I could fathom where someone should react like that is if she's about to get in the car to harm herself or harm your children, and you want to stop her from moving the vehicle, but the reaction to wanting a divorce is you slashing the tires. Is this supposed to make her want to not leave you? I don't understand. That was very weak. It should have never gotten to that point, and it makes me think that he might have been or is on the verge of being abusive, because how do you pull out a knife or whatever he used to slash her tires because she wants a divorce? If she wants a divorce, you this is an opportunity to have a conversation to find out why she wants a divorce, and if you want to still be married to her, if you're the cause and you're doing things to find out, well, what can be done to prevent it. I'm pretty sure these conversations happened before, but if they didn't, here's an opportunity to have a conversation, not react by slashing the tires. And like you said, what if your child gets sick or something happens with your children? How are they supposed to get here and there because you took an emotion and decided to slash her tires?
Terrence, as I listened to your share, was I absolutely, well, I actually asked the young lady. I made a statement rather than ask. I said, you know, that really helped his case. Whatever it is that whatever was going on, and Pastor Jeff didn't get into all of that. I didn't have time. I was there to get my tire fixed. But I said, that really helped his case to slash the tires. And you made another good point with October almost being over, but October being not only Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Yep, that's right, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. That's why I've got a pink shirt on with a white collar, and I've got the red and the pink pocket square because we've been honoring those who are, as they say, strivers, thrivers, as well as those whose families have been affected by their loved ones transitioning from life temporal to life everlasting. But it's also the month of October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I'll be speaking for a group of ladies on tomorrow, in reference to. And you brought a good point up, Terrence, is that perhaps this behavior is connected to domestic violence. Now, we don't know. We're presuming, we're just having a barbershop conversation. I don't know the lady. She doesn't know me. I don't know the husband. He doesn't know me. We're just taking this situation and talking about it and expanding it and looking at some hypothetical situations along with it, just to hear what other men think about it and how we process that. And this group of men, basically what you've heard, if there were women listening, again, gentlemen, we know this is a barbershop conversation, but I'm just going to say, if there were women listening, they absolutely hear that the sample of men in this group, that is something that we definitely would not do. It's not something that we condone. If my son did something like that, first of all, I'd be surprised and taken back. But then we're going to have a heart to heart, man to man, father to son conversation. Son, men don't do stuff like that. And as you said, Terrence, the only scenario that Pastor Jeff could see that a man would do something like that is the wife expresses that she's about to go get in the car, go kill herself, and he prevents that from happening. Outside of that, I can't come up with any other scenario where it would be warranted for a man to slash his wife's tires because she asked for a divorce. Now, my observation, Pastor Jeff is going to go because again, I don't know these people. I'm just using the situation. And if it wasn't the situation, I would not make this statement. But I'm going to make this statement because I've learned my lesson making this to assumption from a woman that I know. It would be my observation that this mother was with child. Now, I didn't want to put that in at first, gentlemen, because I didn't want that to skew your perspective. But just to add to it, it was my perception that this mother was with child, and you slashed the tires. All right, gentlemen. Anybody else want to say something on that one? Pastor Jeff is just is this one's going to take me a minute to get out of my brain and out of my processing because I can't understand it. But on the other side of it, the gentleman needs some help. Pastor Jeff would love to be able to counsel this gentleman to give some fatherly wisdom of how to handle your emotions when you are upset as a man. I would love to be able to do that. We're not bashing the man. We're just talking about the situation. And so I do have empathy. I do have sympathy. And I would like to be able to offer this man some type of assistance so that he would not do this type of thing in the future and that he would understand as a man when you control your emotions and when you're comfortable enough and vulnerable enough to let your emotions go. Gentlemen, anybody else want to add anything to that?
Hi, Pastor Jeff. This is Bobby Johnson. I just wanted to add something else to this topic about basically, you know, in my past life before I became the man that I am today, the gentleman. Um, I kind of found myself into a couple roadblocks for women, just because women feel just like men think. So you can't really make a woman feel a type of way or think a type of way. Why? Because she's her own woman, just like I'm my own man. So it's like this. A lot of people have different impulsive behaviors, which is really just a spontaneous way of thinking. So it's like this. I like to think of cause and effect. Cause I did this, here's the effect.
Absolutely. Cause and effect, Bobby. Absolutely. And we men, ultimately, from Pastor Just, from my perspective now, gentlemen, you know, I believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I believe is God, the creator of the world, the universe, and the earth. And from that perspective, I believe that men are responsible. Yes, we need to have emotional intelligence, but we are responsible for the relationship that we have, whether we are married or we're just in a relationship. But ultimately, if we are married, we're responsible for our family. The blessings for our family comes through us. And the one who has to answer to God is the man. That's according to the scriptures. That's what Pastor Jeff absolutely believes. Now, that's my belief. Everybody else doesn't have, you don't have to believe what I believe, but that's my belief. And therefore, in a situation like this, the man is supposed to take the high road. The man is supposed to get out of his emotions and do what is right. And if he needs to go someplace else and cry by himself, if he needs to go talk to somebody, he needs to do what he needs to do. But he needs to make sure that that family is covered with security and protection and with safety and prevention. You've got to look out. You know, my mom, well, I won't say that one. I was going to tell you, but we've got to make sure and think about those things. If the children need to get to the hospital, she needs to get to the hospital. She's got to go to work. What if she's late for work? How does that affect her at work? Her relationship with her coworkers? How does it affect her ability to continue to work? Is she going to get fired? Is she going to get rolled up? Now that's going to affect her attitude. Does that transfer over to the children because now she's upset with the husband and she's also upset because it affected her on the job? Look, it's so much into this, so much that we want to say welcome to One Love, Mr. DeCarlos. How you doing, sir?
Peace to everybody. Great topic. Accountability is important. I'm just building. I don't know if it's my turn to
Yeah, go ahead
speak
and
my
chime in.
mind.
Go ahead and chime in.
Oh yes. I'm a student of nature, and his roles as a man is to provide. And if you study like the bees, the male bee is the one that goes out and takes care of the family. Goes out every day, put it in the work, and bring back resources for the family. And that's an everyday thing. And it's really not that hard. But it's the point. If that man is lazy, then of course, that's anybody is lazy. That's not a good thing. So I think that's just the root of a lot of problems is just laziness. So I yield right there.
Thank you, King. And again, as Pastor Jeff says, I want to reiterate: I do not know the lady. I do not know her husband. I saw a situation. I was selected to ask the lady about it, and she shared the information she did, and I continued the conversation further to get a better understanding without being completely nosy. And then I told her, I said, I'm going to talk about this on my show today because it just did something to Pastor Jeff. With that, we're going to go to our next question. We're not going to spend the whole show about this, but that's something that we need to think about. And hopefully, gentlemen, with this group of men that's here, it sounds like you have enough together. You may not have it all together. Pastor Jeff doesn't have it all together, but I think you've got enough together and a understand the responsibilities of a man and understand what we've been called to do and how do we treat a lady, even if we are in disagreement with her. I appreciate you, Kings, for your comments and for your honesty and for your vulnerability. So we're going to go to the next one. I want you to consider this statement. Consider this statement, gentlemen, and then I'm going to ask you a question. And the statement is, I'm going to read it. So as you see me look away from the camera, that's so that I can read the statement correctly. So I'm not being rude. Consider the following statement. Our communities are experiencing a sad-demic. Sad-demic. I think that word is made up, but you understand it. Single mothers are granting their sons husband privileges minus sex. Let me say that one more time. Our communities are experiencing a sad-demic. Single mothers are granting their sons husband privileges minus sex. Are these mothers doing other single women an injustice? Why or why not? Go ahead, Bobby. What do you think? Are these mothers doing other women an injustice by treating their sons, giving them husband privileges minus the sex? Somebody would say, and I'm just going to use this term, and some may not subscribe to it, but you're creating a mama boy.
Oh, yes. You
Bobby, talk about it. Tell us what you think, Bobby.
Oh, wow. Oh, yes. You need a young man. You don't need no husband because you're going to have to go out and find you one of those. So with that being said, that is a young man, a gentleman. You tell him what to do. And if he don't do what you tell him to do, you make him do what you're supposed to do. Why? Because you are the woman of that household and you must hold it down because grown got their own.
Bobby said, "Grown got they own." I like that, Bobby, and I appreciate you being very quick with that, so we can move it and get a perspective from all of the men. You were succinct on the answer, and we thank you, Steve. What do you think about it? Are these women creating? Are they creating an injustice for other single women? Why or why not, Steve?
I'm sorry, Pastor Jeff. Can you repeat the question? I was a little away from you.
Okay, so it was a statement. The statement is that our communities are experiencing a sad-demic. Single mothers are granting their sons husband privileges minus sex. Are these mothers doing single women an injustice? Why or why not? And we put that term in just for better clarity. We may not agree with it, but some would call these young men mama boys. What do you think about it, Steve? Are they doing an injustice to other women or not?
Well, it depends upon why she is a single mother. Is there a man responsible for that, to making her like that, to being, as a single mother? If a man is responsible for that, then I don't blame that woman to making a mama's boy. If man is not responsible, if that woman is, then definitely we can go on to that word. Yes, definitely she is doing that, and definitely every mother loves her children. No mother in this world would, let them do anything which is wrong. They would treat them good. Even she is alone, she is working by herself, looking at that part and raising the child. And what you can expect from a single mother? She doesn't have a man there to support. How would she take care of that? She has to earn, she has to provide, she has to take care, she has to love, she has to do everything. Now, is what I am expecting, what anybody else is expecting from that woman, how she's going to raise that. So the point is not only looking at the one point that we are saying, okay, it's a mama's, boy, or they're raising like this and that. I don't get that. The man who say that we are alpha, we are strong, we are this. What kind of man is that who leave a woman to be a single mother? So I'm not with that. Is they're raising guys who are mamas, babies, and all that. No, it's they're just the way they are, just the way their life is, the way the men put them there. Men come in and have sex with them and go and leave them there. No, I don't buy that. No,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Interesting perspective. Thank you there. And I'm not going to give a lot of commentary behind it because I want to get every man's perspective on this before we close. And it's coming close to the hour time. Say, Brother Terrence, what do you think about it? Are these women creating an injustice for other women?
Okay, so I'm a little lost with what the I guess it would depend on what the quote unquote husband privileges are. Yeah, I can see two sides of it. If the husband privileges are just another way of saying being the man of the house, which in a lot of cases, if you're a single mother and you have a son, he becomes the man of the house, which includes responsibilities, that the husband would actually do, like taking care of the yard, trash and stuff like that. If it's a case like that, that sort of thing would be beneficial for single women out there because she's essentially preparing him for marriage, preparing him to do the things that he's supposed to do around the house, to be a protector and that sort of thing. But if it's the other version, as far as
It's the other version. It's the other version,
okay, okay,
Terrence.
okay, thank you. Okay, I needed that clarification.
It's the other version, Terrence.
Okay, yeah, that's a horrible, horrible disservice because it will have you in a situation like what's the movie TD Jakes did, Jump in the Broom, and that sort of situation where the mother thinks that the son is actually her husband, and so when it comes time for him to leave and cleave, it's going to be a problem. And I've actually seen situations like that where the son was used to bringing his paycheck home to the mother and that sort of thing, and when he got married, he was still bringing his paycheck home to his mother. And she didn't check the situation and say, hey, you have a wife now. She still felt like she needed to be priority. So in that situation, yeah, it's a horrible disservice because you're setting this man up to be your husband pretty much, and that's what it's going to be in his mind. No matter who he meets, no matter who he comes across, he's never going to, cling to that woman and be the man that she needs in her life.
Thank you, Terrence. And just for some clarification before I go on to our other kings, when we say giving him husband privileges minus sex, that means she's buying everything for him, cleaning his room for him, washing his, well, I ain't gonna say washing his car, but washing his clothes, cooking his food. Basically, he becomes a surrogate husband. She treats him with the respect that a husband should get, minus having sex with him. And therefore, he knows how to do nothing for himself. He takes no responsibility because he doesn't have to, because she takes care of him and treats him the way she should treat a husband. So, with that clarification, let's see. Did I get everybody on the screen? All right, looks like we got everybody on the screen. And so we're coming up to the top of the hour. I want to say thank you so much, Bobby. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you, Terrence, for joining in with us on this conversation. It's been a great conversation. We apologize that we weren't able to get our other kings here into the live, but it didn't stop them. They gave us their opinions as we continue to have these Tom Ford conversations, Tom Ford Fridays with barbershop conversations where women are butterflies and ladybugs on the wall. I want to say thank you to our live participants. Go ahead and put some black and pink. That's black for the men and pink for breast cancer. And if you want to put purple for domestic violence awareness, put some black, pink, and purple hearts into the chats, into the comments. We want to say thank you so much for continuing to support us. Again, this has been another Tom Ford Friday brought to you by GW3 Club and Renee Noor. Look, before I go, I just want to tell you this. If nobody told you today, you have an absolutely beautiful smile. Those that are watching you, those in the clubhouse, if you don't believe me, find yourself a mirror, a hallway mirror, a full-length mirror, bathroom mirror, your compact mirror, side view mirror if you're in your car, your rear. I don't care. Just get a mirror. Now, Pastor Jeff guarantees you that when you smile at yourself is going to smile back at you. And when you do, take that as God confirming that you were wonderfully and fearfully made. And he said everything that he made was good, but not only good, it was especially good. And understand this, my friends, that smiles are contagious, but frowns are frightening. So go smile the rest of the week to everybody you come in contact with. This has been Pastor Jeff with another Tom Ford Fridays. Thank you, Miss Renee Noor. We're going to take this back to the clubhouse hallways now. God bless you. Brother DeCarlos. And so we'll ask you, Brother DeCarlos, the question, last question that we had, because we didn't get to hear from you. And it was from this. Consider this